Have you ever felt your heart break so deeply that it changed the way you think, feel, and see the world? At first, it feels like the pain will never end. Every memory hurts. Every song reminds you of them. Every quiet moment becomes a battle between your mind and your emotions. But what most people don't realize is that heartbreak is more than emotional pain. Psychology shows that when someone breaks your heart, your brain begins going through powerful psychological changes that can completely transform who you become. Some of these changes are painful, some are surprising, and some may actually make you stronger than you've ever been before. In this video, we'll uncover the 10 psychological changes that begin when someone breaks your heart. Before we begin, if you're interested in understanding human behavior, relationships, emotional intelligence, subscribe to Psychotherapy and join our growing community. Now let's get started. The first psychological change is emotional shock. No matter how strong you are, heartbreak often creates an emotional shockwave that hits your mind unexpectedly. Even if you saw the breakup coming, part of your brain refuses to accept it. You replay conversations. You search for explanations. You wonder if things could have ended differently. Psychologists explain that emotional shock occurs because your brain suddenly loses something it considered important for safety, comfort, and emotional stability. For a while, reality feels unreal. You wake up expecting a message. You reach for your phone without thinking. You imagine hearing their voice. Your mind struggles to adjust to a reality it never wanted. The second psychological change is obsession with memories. After heartbreak, your brain begins focusing on memories more intensely than usual. You remember special moments. You remember the laughter, the good times, the promises, the dreams you built together. What's interesting is that the brain often highlights positive memories while minimizing negative ones. This creates a dangerous cycle. You start missing the person more than the relationship itself. You miss how they made you feel. You miss the emotional comfort they provided. And because of that, moving on becomes much harder. The third psychological change is emotional withdrawal. Heartbreak affects the brain similarly to withdrawal from an addiction. This may sound dramatic, but research has shown that romantic attachment activates reward systems inside the brain. When that attachment disappears, emotional withdrawal begins. You feel empty, unmotivated, restless. Nothing feels exciting. Activities you once enjoyed suddenly lose their meaning. This is one reason heartbreak feels physically painful. Your mind is adjusting to the absence of someone it became emotionally dependent on. The fourth psychological change is loss of self-confidence. Many people begin questioning themselves after a breakup. Was I good enough? What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough for them? These thoughts can become dangerous if left unchecked. The truth is that heartbreak often damages self-esteem because rejection feels personal. Even when the relationship ended for reasons beyond your control, your mind searches for flaws within yourself. You begin comparing yourself to others. You become overly critical. You focus on your weaknesses instead of your strengths. But this stage doesn't last forever. And that's where the next psychological change begins. The fifth psychological change is self-reflection. Once the initial emotional storm starts calming down, something interesting happens. You begin looking inward. You analyze your choices. You evaluate your patterns. You start asking deeper questions. Why did I ignore red flags? Why did I tolerate certain behaviors? What can I learn from this experience? This stage is uncomfortable because it forces honesty, but it's also where growth begins. Many people become wiser after heartbreak because pain often teaches lessons comfort never could. The sixth psychological change is emotional independence. At first, being alone feels terrifying, but gradually, something changes. You begin solving problems without them. You create new routines. You learn how to enjoy your own company again. And little by little, you realize something powerful. You survived. The person you thought you couldn't live without is no longer part of your daily life. Yet you're still moving forward. This realization creates emotional strength. You become less dependent on external validation and more connected to your own identity. The seventh psychological change is increased emotional awareness. Heartbreak teaches emotional lessons that few experiences can match. You begin noticing behaviors you once ignored. You recognize manipulation more quickly. You become more aware of how people treat you. Many people develop stronger emotional intelligence after heartbreak Because painful experiences force them to understand emotions on a deeper level. The eighth psychological change is changing relationship standards. After getting hurt, most people stop viewing relationships the same way. You become more careful. You pay attention to actions instead of words. You stop falling for empty promises. You start valuing consistency, honesty, and emotional maturity. Some people call this becoming guarded, but often, it's simply becoming wiser. You learn that love alone is not enough. Trust, respect, communication, and effort matter just as much. The ninth psychological change is rediscovering personal value. One of the most beautiful transformations after heartbreak happens when you begin remembering who you were before the relationship. You reconnect with old goals. You explore forgotten dreams. You invest in yourself again. Slowly, your confidence returns. Not because someone gave it back to you, but because you rebuilt it yourself. This stage feels empowering. You stop chasing validation. You stop seeking approval. You realize your worth was never determined by someone else's decision to stay or leave. And that realization changes everything. The 10th and final psychological change is personal transformation. Heartbreak has a strange way of creating stronger people. Not immediately, not overnight, but eventually. The pain that once felt unbearable becomes part of your story. The tears become lessons. The disappointment becomes wisdom. The heartbreak becomes growth. You start seeing life differently. You become more resilient, more emotionally intelligent, more self-aware. And sometimes the person you become after heartbreak is stronger than the person you were before love ever entered your life. That's why many people eventually look back and realize something surprising. The breakup that nearly destroyed them was also the experience that transformed them. The truth is that heartbreak changes everyone. The question isn't whether you'll change. The question is what those changes will turn you into. Will you become bitter or wiser? Will you stay trapped in the past or use the pain to build a stronger future? Because every heartbreak leaves behind a choice, and the people who grow the most are often the ones who decide that their pain will become a lesson instead of a life sentence. If you're currently healing from a broken heart, remember this. The pain you're feeling today will not last forever. The confusion will fade. The sadness will ease. And one day, you'll realize that the person who broke your heart also revealed your strength. Sometimes losing someone teaches you the value of finding yourself again. And tell us which psychological change you've experienced after heartbreak. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to Psychotherapy for more powerful insights into love, relationships, human behavior, and emotional growth.